Welcome back, guys. And tonight we got a bit of a buying guide slash using guide slash kind of going over the issues people have with the Hex Clad, their versions also. Pans. There's a lot of people complain of having issues, and I've had mine. I don't have the true Hex Clad, which we're going to go into that, but I do have the counterfeit one, and I've had it for about 6 months. And there's a lot of key things I really want to go over with you guys. Basically, we're going to be going over how I cook with it and why I've been successful with it, and some keynotes I've taken on it. So, and also I'm going to show you the pan and of course all the good stuff because I got to show it to you. So I guess with that said, let's get it all set up and we'll be back in a minute. All right, so before we dive into this most likely 15-minute video, I want to go over a couple off-topic things. If you've never had a off-the-bone ham breakfast burrito, like handmade, like the shaved off-the-bone ham, you are really missing out. I made mine for the first time tonight. Wow, so good. And second off, just want to kind of point something out to you guys. Whenever you buy a gallon of drink from the store or anything that may matter if it's poisoned, check to make sure it hasn't been opened. This is the second time I came back from Walmart and my gallon of tea has been pre-opened for me. The time before last I checked, and I always squeeze to make sure it doesn't leak. But this time I forgot to check, and literally one of my gallons has been opened. So just want to point that out as kind of a helpful guide for you guys. So on back to the video. Because I can't have tea, well, 3 a.m. we're having a monster. So, all right, so we're digging into the video now on the pan. Before we dive into it, I kind of want to give you my background on skillets because a lot of people make videos and shorts over this type of pan, and all they even really use is non-stick, which with that kind of experience, you're never going to last with this pan. Just throwing that out there. I rotate consistently between carbon steel, stainless, cast iron. Visions I don't use much, but I cook with it quite a bit. Clay and non-stick. So basically my experience stretches to everything. There's not much of a pan you can put in front of me and I'd be like, I'd probably be okay with using everything. So that's my background. So that has helped me a lot with using this pan. So this is the information you're getting from it. So as far as preheating it, this is how I do it. Let's start with seasoning first. Don't season these skillets. Stainless steel, I know people say to season it, but no, it doesn't hold it. And I found it does minimally good because I used to try it. So don't season stainless. Non-stick, which is the worst offender, non-stick doesn't hold a season at all. I know manufacturers tell you that. It's a legality thing. Some people say it's to get out of warranties. I don't know. But don't season the pan. And the method they tell you to do it anyways, you're wanting to stick it to the pan, not heat oil up and dump it out. That's not how you season a pan, but we're not going to go into that any further. So, preheating. Don't preheat it like stainless. This is going to get confusing, just so you know. So preheating, you're going to want to preheat it for a short amount of time. You don't want to overheat it because there is non-stick on the pan and that matters, that does. But you have to preheat it because there is non-stick on the surface. I preheat it kind of like carbon steel, which is less stick prone than stainless. Just get it really hot, but not scorching hot. Just get it kind of hot. And you'll be fine there. Cooking, you got to use oil. Yes, I know it's non-stick, but again, there's stainless in there. So oil is what I use. That's what I found works best with this pan. Knock yourself out on the oil. You may even try ghee. I don't have ghee, but you may try that. One of the hardest things to cook in this pan is eggs, for obvious reasons. And with most things, if things are trying to stick, the pan's too cold. That's a characteristic of stainless. So turn your heat up a little bit, rise the temperatures, and it helps out tremendously. Oil works best, again, from my experience. Butter works fine. I recommend that only for eggs completely. If I ever cook an egg in anything except non-stick, I use butter. I found it to work best in any type of pan. So butter works best for eggs. Everything else, I use oil. Cooking spray, you're not even supposed to use those with non-stick. People have found out because it eats up the coating. It's aerosol, so who knows what's in it. So that's just a no in general. I mean, if you have to, you have to. It's fine, but don't make it a habit. It's hard on the non-stick layer. Cleanup, my favorite part. Not really. This is a huge tip that nobody talks about. Deglaze. And I do that with all my pans except non-stick because you don't need to. It is actually easy to clean, even if it does stick, like eggs. It is easy to come off. So yes, it will stick, but it's easy to get off. So big thing there, clean your pan fresh. And that's with any pan, again, clean it fresh. I know it's hot and you gotta kind of work with that not to warp it and burn yourself, but it's tremendously easier. Trust me, I've figured this out over the years. So some things that I've cooked in it, then we're gonna go jump over to the pan because we've been sitting here a minute. Some of the things I've cooked in the last 6 months, there's a whole list here, but eggs, lamb burgers, steaks, cooked a couple quesadillas, made some nachos. The list goes on and on there. So I've used it for a variety of things. The one thing I am gonna say before we jump over there, when it comes to the cleaning part, a lot of people complain about how hard it is to clean the edges and stuff. I feel like some people cook on too high of a temperature for food because covered or not, which if you want to sear, you don't want to cover it. Covered or not, I'm still able to get a great sear and not just char up the sides of my pan. Some of that does come to, maybe it's because I clean it when it's fresh. I don't know, but I've never had an issue with that in any pan I have as far as buildup. But yeah, so I think that most people cook on a higher temperature. And so with that said, let's go over to the pan and we'll check it out. All right, so looking at the pan and kind of going over some more of the aspects of it, we're gonna get to the point now to where we're looking at some notes I've taken over the 6 months that may help you guys out a lot. For the pan itself, it is the Tiwi. I got it off of Amazon. I'm not gonna recommend anything but a Hex Clad at this point because one of the biggest issues I have with this pan, really the only issue, is these things heat so unevenly and cook so unevenly. Whether I use my regular gas stove I have, which has a burner like that, here we go, or I use my induction, I don't use an electric range top. But if you're gonna use a cheaper version like this, use either a big gas burner on a lower heat or use a full-size electric burner because these do not, they're not very even heating. So what it came with was this lid. It has kind of an odd looking handle, but works great. It came with all these different spatulas and stuff. For those of you that cook in woks or want a stiffer bladed spatula in general, but still like that soft tip, these wok spatulas from Tiwi, which I cannot find on Amazon, are amazing. I love these. And of course, it comes with the basting brush, tongs, weird spatula, and then another spatula. Nothing impressive there. And looking at the pan itself, it has your typical Hex Clad style design. I mean, they're all a little bit different. It goes all the way up the sides, even on the back. And these are all going to be compatible with basically everything you have, induction included. I got mine because there's no rivets. So for those of you that make scrambled eggs, you're going to love that. So getting into some of the things, we went over the cheaper versions you definitely want to use on big burners. Hex Clad, from what I can see, they cook a lot more even from what I can tell. So I think it's more than worth double the price because it's frustrating when this much of the pan cooks and the other half is significantly cooler. It makes it harder to make things not stick, and that's on gas and induction. It's awful. It's purely awful. Another thing, my wood spatula, see how it's real chewed up there? It destroys wood utensils. So just be aware of that. I mean, it makes sense. It's textured. So heads up on that one. What I've found, metal utensils are okay. You know, metal spatulas. I wouldn't put those like hand blenders, I can't think of the name, but they're like whisk that are electric in there. But like metal spatulas, metal tongs, I would say go for, but depending on the type of head that's on it, because there's some that have different styles, I'd be very careful. So I'd say you're okay with metal, but be reasonable with it, because at the end of the day, this is still non-stick. It's not special. So just heads up on that. Surface scraping is okay. As far as cleaning it, abrasives, I don't go for. A lot of people seem to have luck with using abrasive sponges and stuff. I wouldn't, just because if it gets past that layer of stainless down into the non-stick, down in that groove, you could have some issues there. So again, deglazing is what works with me almost 100% of the time. So deglazing is huge with me. Just gotta be careful not to warp it. Another thing, and like it's kind of going on what I said earlier, cleaning it fresh is best. How I deglaze is I get like a quarter of a cup of hot water, as hot as the tap will go, and kind of pour it in there in a circle slowly. You don't want to do cold water. And then get a really soaked wet cloth after you've kind of, scraped it with the steam action and the stuff. And then just kind of sit there in the water, clean it. Then if you want to hit it with soap, go ahead. So yeah, that's kind of some of the notes I've taken on this pan. What I am going to say, in case you haven't kind of figured out by now, I hope I've hit all the topics on this. And if I didn't, just ask me in the comments and I'll be happy to answer it. So at the end of the day, this is a hybrid pan, just like they claim, and it really does act like it. Just to sum up everything, it kind of acts like stainless, but it has some of the aspects and gentle care of non-stick. So, you kind of gotta understand that and kind of work with it. So if you're someone that likes a challenge with cooking, I think it's great, and it is a beautiful pan. That's why I actually bought it. But if you're not experienced or you're not too good with stainless, I would say buy at your own risk. But with all that said, I am going to throw my notes from this video, so that way any of you that want to come back for reference of what I said, I'll have it there. The notes aren't quality, they're kind of just my notes I read from, so they may not make the most sense, but they make enough sense, so I'll put it in there. So yeah, I guess with that said, that has in mind kind of guide to using a Hex Clad skillet. You got any questions for me? Put in the comments. Tell me your try, put in the comments. With that said, thank you guys very much for watching. You have a good night.